Kylian Mbappé.
He just needs to focus on football. That's the only thing he needs to do.
Kylian Mbappé was supposed to become the king of modern football. The player who would inherit the game after Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. The boy who won the World Cup at 19. The superstar destined to dominate Europe for the next decade. But football has a strange way of humbling even the most gifted players. Because talent can make you famous. Goals can make you a superstar. But neither talent nor goals can make a team follow you. And that is where the Mbappé story becomes far more complicated than most people realize.
But respect is nothing you ask for. Respect is something you take. So it depends on you.
At just 20 years old, Mbappé was already one of the biggest names in football. Every season his influence inside Paris Saint-Germain grew. Managers came and went. Players arrived and left. But Mbappé's importance kept increasing. The club wasn't just building a team around him anymore. They were building an entire project around him. And eventually, a dangerous question emerged. Was PSG building a football club? Or were they building Mbappé FC? The warning signs were already there. Messi, Neymar, Ramos, Verratti. Yet PSG never truly looked like a united team. Instead, they often looked like a collection of superstars wearing the same shirt. And whenever things went wrong, tensions quickly appeared. Nothing symbolized PSG's internal tensions more than the famous penalty incident between Neymar and Mbappé. Paris Saint-Germain were awarded a penalty. Mbappé stepped up and missed. Later in the same match, PSG received another penalty. This time, Neymar picked up the ball. Mbappé immediately walked toward him. He wanted the penalty. Neymar refused. Millions of fans watched the moment unfold. And suddenly, the conversation wasn't about football anymore. It was about power, authority, influence. Who was truly in charge? The penalty itself wasn't the problem. What it represented was. Because when players begin competing for control instead of competing for victories, the foundations of a team begin to crack. And PSG kept cracking. Every year PSG spent more money. Every year expectations increased. Every year the Champions League remained out of reach. Despite having Messi. Despite having Neymar. Despite having Mbappé. Despite having virtually unlimited resources. The dream never became reality. The club had everything except one thing. A clear football identity. Instead of building a system, PSG often built around individual stars. And eventually, that strategy started working against them. Then came a conversation that now feels almost prophetic. Mbappé reportedly asked Zlatan Ibrahimović for advice regarding his future. Zlatan's response was immediate. If I were you, I would go to Real Madrid. But the advice didn't stop there. Zlatan explained something many young superstars never understand. Staying where everybody already admires you is easy. Leaving your comfort zone is difficult. That is where greatness begins. That is where legends are created. That is where respect is earned. For Zlatan, the challenge wasn't about money. It wasn't about fame. It was about proving yourself in the most demanding environment possible. And in his eyes, that environment was Real Madrid. While Mbappé remained at PSG, another young superstar was taking a very different path. Erling Haaland. No power struggles. No political battles. No public drama. Just goals. Relentless goals. Zlatan later praised Haaland's mentality. He described him as a player obsessed with one thing. Scoring. Haaland wasn't trying to become a playmaker. He wasn't trying to become a club president. He wasn't trying to control the dressing room. He focused on his job. And according to many critics, that was exactly the lesson Mbappé needed to hear. The greatest players understand who they are. And they master it. Then came 2024. The moment PSG finally accepted that Mbappé was leaving. Most people expected panic. Luis Enrique chose something different. Discipline. For the first time in years, a PSG manager treated Mbappé like every other player. If he needed to come off in the 60th minute, he came off. If he needed to sit on the bench, he sat on the bench. No special treatment. No exceptions. No superstar privileges. The message was simple. No player is bigger than the team. When journalists questioned his decisions, Luis Enrique responded directly. When I decide he plays, he plays. When I decide he doesn't, he doesn't. It was a statement PSG fans hadn't heard for years. A manager reclaiming authority. When Mbappé's departure became official, many predicted disaster. They expected PSG to collapse. Instead, something unexpected happened. The team became more balanced. The attack became less predictable. The ball moved faster. Players were no longer under pressure to find Mbappé with every attack. The system became the star. Luis Enrique wasn't trying to replace one player. He was trying to remove dependency. And that changed everything. Because dependency is dangerous. The moment a club depends on one player for everything, that player becomes bigger than the structure itself. And eventually the structure suffers. No player represented PSG's transformation better than Ousmane Dembélé. For years Dembélé was known for wasted potential. Unbelievable talent. Constant injuries. Endless frustration. Many fans believed he would never fulfill his promise. Then Luis Enrique arrived. And suddenly everything changed. Dembélé became more disciplined. More consistent. More focused. More effective. The talent had always existed. What changed was the environment around him. The structure. The accountability. The work ethic. It became proof that football is not only about talent. It is about discipline. Then finally came the move everyone had been waiting for. Real Madrid. The biggest club in world football. The dream destination. The white shirt. The Santiago Bernabeu. For years, Mbappé had been linked with Madrid. Now he had finally arrived. But there was one major problem. Madrid did not need saving. Madrid had already conquered Europe. They already had a winning culture. They already had stars. They already had a system. Mbappé wasn't joining a broken project. He was joining a machine. And machines don't easily change for one individual. At PSG, everything revolved around Mbappé. At Real Madrid, everything revolves around the badge. That is the difference. Madrid survived Ronaldo. Madrid survived Zidane. Madrid survived countless legends. Because the institution is always bigger than the individual. Every player must adapt. No exceptions. That is now Mbappé's challenge. Not scoring goals. Not winning headlines. Not building his brand. Adapting. Sacrificing. Becoming part of something bigger than himself. Nobody doubts Mbappé's talent. Nobody questions his ability. On his day, he is one of the most devastating players football has ever seen. But football history remembers more than talent. It remembers leaders. It remembers winners. It remembers players who elevate entire teams. Zlatan understood that. Luis Enrique understood that. Real Madrid understands that. The question is whether Mbappé understands it too. Because the next chapter of his career will not be decided by speed. It will not be decided by goals. It will not be decided by fame. It will be decided by one thing: whether he can become part of a system greater than himself. Because football has always rewarded the same thing. Not the biggest star. Not the loudest name. Not the most powerful player. The team. And sooner or later, every superstar learns the same lesson. Football is bigger than you.